As we heard earlier from Joel Mackay, CEO of Northern Development Trust, connectivity is the crucial ingredient, the all-important prerequisite for any kind of development to take place. In fact, many decisions hinge on how quickly broadband expansion happens. So, conversation around what factors could positively impact timelines and enable communities to close the divide is crucial. We are very happy to have Telus staff here today for a conversation around connectivity.
Yeah.
For some technical background, and so we understand the key factors and the part that municipal leaders can do to move the needle forward. We're here with Ben Bajaj, Director of Rural Connectivity and Local Governments. Ben, Telus supports many initiatives and gives back to communities through volunteerism and supporting local charities. I had a chance to check your telus.com for good website prior to this interview, and I was floored by the programs that exist for British Columbians to access technology or learn more about being safe online. Can you tell us a little more about how you are supporting BC communities and residents through these programs?
Absolutely, Gabby. I'm happy to be here to talk to you about that. And you've touched on a very core and important part of our culture. Giving back to communities and utilizing the technology that we're very passionate about is central to part of our social purpose here at Telus. With hundreds of thousands of Canadians working, learning, socializing, accessing vital healthcare services from home, right now with the pandemic that we all face, it's really reinforced the need for ubiquitous, high-speed connectivity that Canadians can be able to reliably access wherever they are, especially at home these days. At Telus, we understand that access to technology is a great equalizer and an enabler, but only if we have access equally regardless of where we reside. Despite Canada's leading place in the world when it comes to connectivity, we still have work to do. Further, we believe in our core business values to give back and serve a greater social purpose that benefits all of our stakeholders, from shareholders and customers to our most vulnerable citizens. Over the last 21 years, our Telus family has contributed 10 million volunteer hours in the communities that we live, work, and serve. Furthermore, $680 million to support those most vulnerable communities and the causes that are so important to those communities. So that's why we continue to be recognized as the most giving company on the planet. Driving meaningful social change is a core to our purpose. We're committed to strengthening our communities and leveraging our world-class technology for good. We've established our program portfolio called Connecting for Good, which includes programs like Internet for Good, Mobility for Good, and Health for Good. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we continue to leverage this well-established platform to accelerate our efforts to create digital equality. Our whole Telus team's unwavering commitment to improving outcomes in everyday life for our fellow citizens continues to define the leadership position that we look to take with regards to social capitalism and reflecting the symbiotic relationship between our company and the communities that we serve and live within, not just in Canada, but around the world. As we manage through the ongoing global pandemic, the Telus team continues to lead for good initiatives in those communities. Notably, we've expanded our Internet for Good program to provide low-cost, high-speed internet to 68,000 low-income families and people with disabilities. This program has been expanded to empower schools across BC to extend our Internet for Good support directly to families in need. Similarly, through our National Mobility for Good program, we've also enabled 20,000 kids making the difficult transition out of foster care and vulnerable Canadians with free smartphones and free data plans to go along with those to help them stay connected to what truly matters most as they endure a very difficult transition. I'm also excited to tell you to tell as many people as I can that we've recently expanded this program to include seniors on federal guaranteed income supplement who can benefit with low-cost wireless access and a free refurbished phone. Through our Health for Good programs, which include Babylon by Telus Health, it supported 47,000 patient visits through that platform from our most vulnerable population to mobile health clinics located across Western Canada. It's provided immediate access to virtual care for hundreds of thousands of Canadians without a family doctor, as well as supporting British Columbians with better access to healthcare technology through Babylon Telus Health, which has paved access to healthcare for 2 in 3 Canadians who find it difficult to access medical care after hours without going to the ER. 1 in 7 Canadians who do not have a family doctor, or 1 in 5 Canadians who wait 7 or more days from the day that they actually need medical attention. It's providing that access either on their smartphone or over a mobile clinic for vulnerable peoples. It's part of our commitment that we have to communities. Indeed, the current environment underscores the potency of connectivity, which enables millions of Canadians to work, learn, gain access to entertainment, and transact online and socially, virtually from home, and on a significantly intensified manner. Further, as connectivity expands across our province, it's critical that we look beyond connectivity to enable communities for longer-term prosperity and success, and to address some of the larger and more complex social issues, such as access to affordable technology, access to healthcare, and staying safe online. Connectivity is just the starting point, a very critical but important one. It's what services and programs that can be enabled that will support access, economic development, and social outcomes.
Thanks, Ben. The numbers around the expansion of these for good programs is very impressive. In a recent address to the Canadian Telecom Summit, Tony Guerin, your Chief Customer Officer, spoke about the need to do more to close the digital divide in Canada. Can you talk about how we can further advance projects to bring connectivity to all corners of BC?
Absolutely, Gabby. And that's right, is that we have been, as a company, trying to take a very active leadership position when it comes to rural and Indigenous connectivity. And to that regard, we've recently released a report on rural connectivity, which recommends some pragmatic steps that we can take to overcome the digital divide. We provided a link to that document on our sponsorship page, and we encourage everyone to take a look in terms of how we see the future as to how all aspects of our province and effectively Canada can get the broadband access that Canadians need and require. In terms of looking to technology through a combination of a range of technologies, when we talk about 5G or fixed wireless, fiber, low Earth orbit satellites in the far north, and enabled by coordinated public and private partnerships models with regards to funding, and federal, provincial, and municipal public policy that unleashes both spectrum and funding, we believe that all of Canada can be connected by 2025. We must work urgently to ensure that 100% of Canadians and Indigenous peoples living in Canada, including rural Canada and Indigenous communities, can obtain access to safe, reliable, high-speed broadband networks and connectivities by 2025. Communities with access to high-speed broadband networks will realize improved social outcomes for all of their citizens, including more robust economies, higher productivity, better access to education and healthcare, and increased appeal for new citizens and businesses. We recommend that the government coordinates federal and provincial subsidy dollars and accelerate the rollout of funds and deploy spectrum to improve connectivity to hundreds of thousands of rural homes overnight, and measure results based on the number of homes and businesses that are actually connected and the community benefits that are enabled, with federal, provincial, and municipal governments acting in collaboration with Telus and by leading private companies and viable internet service providers. We can bridge the digital divide immediately. At Telus, we understand that technology is a great enabler and equalizer, but only if we access technology equally. For more than a decade, we've worked with Indigenous peoples and organizations, including all levels of government, to bring high-speed connectivity to Indigenous communities, helping bridge geographic and socioeconomic divides. By the end of this year, we'll have invested more than $29 million to bring Telus Pure Fiber to over 20,000 homes, businesses, and schools in 61 Indigenous communities across BC, Alberta, and Quebec. We're engaging directly with Indigenous organizations such as the All Nations Trust Company, the Northern Development Initiative Trust, and the First Nations Education Steering Committee to create effective joint investment initiatives that meet the real and unique needs of each nation. These projects are helping to break down barriers and create positive social outcomes as we work towards broader reconciliation as a country. I'm excited to announce that in November of last year, we launched our second annual Telus Indigenous Connectivity Report, sharing stories of the remarkable outcomes that Indigenous communities in BC are driving as a result of fast and reliable broadband. A link to that document is also included on our sponsorship page. From language revitalization and enhanced health outcomes to economic development and job creation, the report showcases how expanded access to high-speed internet is enabling Indigenous governments and organizations to ensure communities can stay safe, informed, healthy, and inspired. I invite you to learn more by visiting telus.com/Indigenous connectivity. Technology is equally essential to all of us, wherever we may live. This is where we are passionate about ensuring equal access. Canada has made great progress in this arena recently. Through collaboration with the federal and provincial governments, we must continue to work to bring every Canadian household online. Many of these critical infrastructure projects are only made possible through strong partnerships between private and public sectors. We welcome the recent Universal Broadband Fund announcement by the federal government and look forward to working with provinces, municipalities, and other stakeholders to advance connectivity across Canada. To reach the universal service objective in the next 5 years, government programs should adopt a business-driven approach to coordinate and unleash both funding and spectrum and focus on measuring outcomes, including coordinating all federal and provincial subsidy dollars to be allocated at the same time and based on the same set of shared and measurable outcomes, unleash funds as needed to complete projects that meet funding criteria, unleash spectrum to critical and connecting hundreds of thousands of Canadian homes and premises using existing infrastructure at relatively low cost. Focus on measure the number of homes and premises connected, not what equipment was used, reducing administration and expediting deployment, and focusing on what truly matters is the number of households and Canadians that are actually connected by specific projects. Fifth, support those projects that demonstrate positive community impact and support companies with a long proven track record of investing in programs and leading the adoption of policies and practices that have a positive impact on social and economic well-being. With respect to spectrum, the airwaves that our wireless network ride upon that are typically managed by the federal government, I wanted to speak a little bit about fallow spectrum and federal policy in regards to that. The faster we unlock access to spectrum, the faster we can provide 50 megabits down, 10 megabits up service to hundreds of thousands of underserved homes and premises. As wireless solutions will work best in achieving this goal in many communities, particularly those in rural communities, the government should carefully consider its spectrum policy, auction timelines, and auction frameworks. Flawed spectrum policy has resulted in essential radio waves to lay dormant in rural parts of the country due to lax deployment conditions. Imagine how much more connectivity there would be for rural Canadians and Indigenous peoples living in Canada today if that spectrum was actually put to use and equipment was utilized to bring that vital connectivity to those Canadians. From a retroactive perspective, we need to find ways to free up that spectrum that's not being utilized. Flawed spectrum policy has permitted those essential radio waves to lay dormant in rural parts of the country. Imagine the connectivity that would be there for those Canadians that need it so much, especially right now, and Indigenous peoples living in Canada, if we could utilize it. From a go-forward perspective, maximize the available spectrum that we make available at auction. Do not set aside blocks of spectrum. Require rural deployment as a condition of spectrum license. So in other words, a use it or lose it approach to requirements for holding that spectrum. And bring spectrum assignments per operator in line with international benchmarks like those recommended for use by the Radio Spectrum Policy Group in Europe. At the end of the day, we must look at the gaps and ask which entities are investing in rural areas of Canada, where are partnership opportunities, and what steps can we take to encourage that investment. We're ready. Let's roll up our sleeves and get this done.
Thank you, Ben. Wow. So it sounds like there are a number of things that leaders on this call can take away, specifically on the spectrum side of the conversation. Leveraging existing infrastructure to advance higher speed services into areas is very concrete suggestion, as well as the coordination of funding to bring net connectivity into those areas of the province with little or no connectivity today. I want to switch gears slightly now to how Telus has been able to respond to the COVID-19 crisis as a business, and if there are any key learnings you would like to share with this group.
Yeah, for sure, Gabby. Thank you. So over a year now has passed since the first COVID-19 case in Canada, and thanks to our team's incredible ingenuity, commitment, passion, and collaboration, we've been able to adapt very effectively as a company to the many challenges that we've faced through what's been a very long 12 months. Please know that Telus continues to prioritize the health and well-being of our communities, all of our customers, our employees, and their families, leveraging the expertise of our medical advisory council that's been set up at Telus to guide all of us as leaders in the company. We've offered every local government in BC, as well as every business, with access to our medical advisory council, and that offer still exists on an ongoing basis, where we're not setting anything, rather we're simply recognize that this is a valuable support resource that we can share within our communities and our businesses to ensure that we're able to respond rapidly and effectively to this pandemic, and again sort of speaks to our commitment from a social perspective. To date, Telus has not experienced any known case of workplace transmission of COVID-19. This is a testament to the rigorous safety protocols that we've implemented and our team members' commitment to serving our customers responsibly and safely. In addition, we've acted swiftly to encouraging quarantine, contact tracing for any team members who report close contact with anyone who received a COVID diagnosis. Our team's ability to respond in an effective and expeditious manner is critical, as we have, on average, 2,500 to 3,000 team members working outside of the home on a daily basis, many of whom are interacting directly with customers. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way we live, work, and connect to one another, and TELUS will continue to support the citizens of BC through this unprecedented global health emergency. The way Canadians live has changed dramatically over the past few months, and more Canadians are using technology to work from home, along with many other things remotely, to stay connected and utilize social distancing. Here are some of the examples of how the demands of our network have increased since mid-March. So firstly, toll-free calling has experienced a surge, largely driven by new 1-800 helplines created by government agencies to support Canadians, and an increase in toll-free conferencing lines as more businesses operate remotely. Overall voice traffic has increased on average 45% or more nationally. Wireless data, however, has seen periodic peaks of up to 40%, generally coinciding with major events like provincial or federal news conferences. Many customers are using their home Wi-Fi on their mobile device instead. General text messaging traffic is up 30%, and the video and picture text messaging traffic is up by 50% as Canadians share experiences and content with loved ones. Home internet usage is up by 25% as more customers are at home and online, whether they're working, streaming, or gaming. And I know it's up significantly in my home as I'm on video calls all day long, and my children are using all of the above from a social and gaming perspective. In response to the pandemic, we're expediting our investments this year by providing expanded access to our world-leading networks as British Columbians are working remotely and our young people are leveraging online education tools while families are relying on digital connectivity for everything from working at home to entertainment and to fitness. In addition, we're creating meaningful family supporting jobs for British Columbians who are facing economic hardship or job losses as a result of the economic downturn. In all cases, our network is performing exceptionally well, and our technicians continue to work around the clock to monitor and maintain capacity for our customers. Our customers making local calls, texting, and using data on their cell phones or using their internet and TV at home should not notice any difference in their service, as our team has worked to add capacity to stay ahead of the increased demand, and we're monitoring that 24/7. We continue to actively watch and monitor the network and take steps to best meet the connectivity requirements of Canadians, including essential capacity required by public authorities and emergency response. We're continuing to adhere to and enhance our robust protocols as new strains of COVID-19 reach Canada. New variants are common in viruses. Along with our Medical Advisory Council, we're closely following the science to ensure we're proactive in our approach. If any of our LGLA participants want to learn more about how we've responded as a business, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Thanks, Gabby.
And thank you so much for the practical suggestions, for the socially responsible picture that TELUS has painted of the company, and for helping us, for helping Canadians and British Columbians. We forget that TELUS actually is a world-famous company. It's all ours, but a lot of telecommunications companies around the world look to TELUS for innovation. We're proud to have you here. Thank you. Are there any final comments you would like to leave the audience with?
Thanks, Gabby. Yes, on behalf of TELUS, I wanted to thank our local and Indigenous government leaders here today for their strong commitment and resilience during these difficult times. Further, with respect to the work underway to connect rural, remote, and Indigenous communities in BC, I wanted to extend a thank you to Joel and the team at Northern Development Initiative Trust, as well as the province of BC and the Network BC team. Furthermore, Ruth Williams and her team at the All Nations Trust Company for their ongoing partnership and leadership across the province. To those here today, and for all of your colleagues across the province, please reach out if there's anything that we can do to assist, from services, business insights, meal deliveries, use of our fleet, donations, access to our medical advisory council, information on our For Good programs, providing access to technology for those with barriers, or more information on getting access to healthcare into the palms of your community members' hands. Your resilience and commitment to taking care of each other right now is truly inspirational. Thank you.
Thank you very much.